Bonjour à tout le monde, bonsoir. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bonjour, good night. Thank you for being here. Je vais faire la présentation en anglais parce que le restant va se faire en anglais. Sachez que si vous avez des questions, à n'importe quel moment, vous pouvez les poser en français. Si c'est à Jessica, on fera de la traduction sans problème. So my name is Roxane Arsenault. I'm co-director of Artcirq. I'm really happy to welcome you tonight, and I'm really welcome Jessica and Guillaume here that were curator and artists in the screening. I'd like, before we start, to thank obviously not only of course Jessica and all the artists that have contributed to the screening, but also Prakash for being here, but also helping us with the editing, just putting the films one after the other. Paul Litterland, who is took care of the YouTube live and all the complexities that came with it, as well as Camille Larrivé for just being a great partner from the Indigenous Curator Collective.
Super grateful and honored today to have Scott Drummond.
I don't know who said that, but I'm grateful too. And Paul, you just joined in, but I was just thanking you also for allowing, helping us with the technical aspect of this. Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen. And I'd like to remember, just to remind everyone that just logged in, that we are recording this. So if you don't feel comfortable, please just take down your cameras. This will be available afterwards on YouTube and on our website, so people can re-listen to this. So without further stalling, I'll hand it over to Prakash, our wonderful cultural mediator.
Everyone, thanks, Roxane. So before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that the Artcirq is located on unceded Indigenous lands. The Kanyen'kehá:ka is recognized as the custodians of the lands and waters on which we gather today. Although we're gathering virtually, this is where at least Roxane and I and the Clark team is based out of. Tiohtià:ke, or Montreal, is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. Today, it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community, as well as the Quebec and Canadian community more broadly. It is with this in mind that Clark has been collaborating for the past few years with the Indigenous Curator Collective and support, to the best of our ability, Indigenous artists, curators across different sectors of our programming, such as tonight's programming. So I'm now pleased to present to you the curator for tonight's program, Jessica Winters. Jessica Winters is a painter, printmaker, textile artist, and emerging curator from Makuvik, Nunatsiavut in Newfoundland and Labrador. She got her artistic start at an early age thanks to her family of accomplished craftspeople, including grandmother Nellie Winters, a celebrated textile artist. Jessica has exhibited in group shows, including Nunatsiavut, Our Beautiful Land at Guild Gallery in Montreal, of Myths and Mountains, and at the Wish 150 Newfoundland and Labrador Mosaic, both which took place at the Rooms in St. John's, Newfoundland. In 2019, she curated Billy Gauthier's So Nitwin Now Lungi Tut Luni. Apologies if I didn't get that correct. Beyond the Bone at the Rooms. And I will hand over the mic to Jessica while I share some photos of her beautiful work.
Nice.
Thank you, Prakash. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Winters, and I was the curator for this screening. Yeah, so I just want to talk a bit about, I guess, how I got into arts in general first. I'm actually a biologist by trade, but that was kind of like me taking a shot at translating Inuit values of like environmental stewardship into a Western setting, I guess, a Western education setting. But my passion has always been art, and it's been so ingrained into my life and everyone I love, my family, myself, that I just kind of didn't like see it as a career or sort of like that. It was just a part of me. But the past few years, I've been doing a lot more art and curating. I recently actually just quit my job to pursue this full time, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, here's some of the paintings I do. That's kind of how I started with
Nice.
like fine arts, I guess. I was always crafting and stuff as a kid and as a teenager with my mom and my gram, but they weren't really into kind of this like painting, drawing, like these, I guess, like non-traditionally Inuk forms of art. So yeah, I started painting as a teenager, really inspired by my aunt Nellie, my aunt Dinah Anderson, who was a real trailblazer, I guess, for Inuit in like the fine art world or contemporary art. So yeah, that's what I mainly do, art, but I got my introduction into curating as a part of the Inuit Futures in Art leadership cohort, led by or founded by Concordia or Heather Iluliuti. So that was in 2018, and Heather, who's been a great mentor to me and has always encouraged me to, you know, kind of push boundaries and has always made me feel confident in my work. She asked me to curate Billy Gucce's first major solo exhibition. And so that was like, I didn't even know what curating was. I had no understanding of how like diverse and broad art is. And so that was a huge learning curve for me. But it turned out good, and I really liked curating. So the exhibit was called Samnatuin no Lungmitutluni at the Rooms. And yeah, so from there, I last year actually curated my second show at the Bonavista Biennale, Regeneration it was called, and it was featured 7 Indigenous photographers from Labrador. So most of these paintings that you see on the screen are from my residency that I did in Fogo this summer. So yeah, art has always been like, I guess everything I kind of dabble in has to do with Inuit identity and values and stuff. And so that was kind of the inspiration for Sanningajuk, the screening tonight. But I took it a bit further and focused more on like youth voices and youth experiences. I went to the Biennale, the Venice Biennale in 2019, and that's actually where I met Sanningajuk. And I was so amazed by how much she had accomplished being young as she is. And I don't know, just reflecting on that. And I also seen Artcirq too in Venice, and they did this like comedy skit, circus comedy skit, and I was literally crying because I was so emotional and amazed by how like I just didn't see Inuit do that before, and I like had never considered myself or people from home kind of in those roles or doing those things. So it was like a super emotional moment for me. But yeah, so like being a youth and seeing you know, just how things are changing, and kind of like the so many hats that Inuit youth wear. Like I said in the description that, you know, or the intro, that we're the first generation, or many of us are the first generation of Inuit that get to choose, you know, what kind of life we want. And with that comes so much responsibility at the same time. Something I struggle with a lot is, you know, do I want to, you know, move south and chase my dreams, or do I want to stay home and, you know, carry on my traditions, those kinds of things. And that's why, like Echo Hinuk's film, I started out with that one because for me, that one kind of hit that like theme of like knowledge carrying. As a youth, it's your job to hear stories and learn traditions and pass them on to the next generation. But then following up with that, you know, there's a lot of struggles that we also face too, because of things our families have been through and things we've been through. And, you know, like the suicide and suicide crisis in the North, things like that. There's just a lot of responsibility on Inuit youth, I guess, and you know, climate change, like we've seen in the film. Yeah, but then Sanningajak's film, it kind of just wrapped up both of those worlds into one, I found, and just like left on such a sweet note of like, here's what the future can look like, and it's up to us to kind of determine that and make choices and yeah. So I love all those films, and I think it came together quite nice, and I hope that everyone kind of understands the message I was trying to send, essentially. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jessica. That was a great introduction into your art practice as well as your cultural choices. Before I open it up to a Q&A, we have Guillaume here from Artcirq. So I'm just going to quickly present them. Just the Zoom is in my way a little bit. There we go. So since its inception in 1998, Artcirq has grown into an Inuit performing arts collective based in Igloolik in Nunavut, with the mission to bridge traditional Inuit culture to modern artistic practices by creating meaningful and original work through the performing arts, music, and video. Artcirq members have created a rich body of work featured on a national and international scale through which Inuit artists express and redefine themselves in their changing world. I know it's very last minute, but Guillaume, if you want to take the mic and tell us a little bit about your practice and about Artcirq in general, that'd be great.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Guillaume. I'm one of the Artcirq co-founder since 1998. So it's been like 23 years that we're developing collaborations in Igloolik and with the world, with the South. So I really, really enjoyed Jessica's introduction, and each words you used resonates inside. Very, very different challenges today than 40 years ago in the North. And maybe we are in the first generations of having to redefine everything, who we are, what we do, where we do it, how we do it. So us in Artcirq, we're trying to give tools to young people to help them redefine themselves or define, and artistic tools. So music, video making, circus, traditional Inuit games, trying to bridge arts to create sense, not just to export down south technology or ways of doing, but to find roots of circus in Inuit traditional culture. So we presented you 2 videos. I can't wait to hear you guys. What do you have to say?
Okay, thanks, Guillaume. So now we'll open up the floor to questions. If there are any, feel free to raise your hand or you can open your mic. But I can start. Jessica, I saw also on your website that you do the artistic work with sealskin. I think it's really interesting how like painting the sealskins, video, circus performance, these are all like very different ways of storytelling and of also like integrating cultural practices or heritage identity into these like various mediums. So I'm wondering like if you reserve like certain stories for certain mediums, or how you choose what to express and where? And this could be for either Jessica or Guillaume.
Yeah, for me, like I try to like target all my work towards Inuit. Like, yes, most of them are just pretty pictures or cool collages or whatever, but like sometimes I'll do a piece and, you know, maybe the like rating of it is not excellent, but then I'll show it to someone from home and they might cry because they understand it in a way that I do, which is, I think that like that's my goal. Like you know, like the piece that you pulled up, the heartstrings piece, the cat's cradle, that's like a very nostalgic, I guess, piece for Inuit. Yeah, so I don't know if it matters between mediums for me. I think I try to achieve the same goal with all my different mediums. Yeah.
Thanks. Guillaume, do you have anything to add?
I'm in the same ways of doing as Jessica. That is, Artcirq is born in Igloolik for Igloolik Miut by Igloolik Miut, and then that became our ways to represent ourselves outside Nunavut as well, because seems like many people know Inuit around the world, but not many people have met Inuit. So we have a representation of the North, you know. So bringing culture around is a great way to reactualize relationships and identity. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be, that like leads me very well into like my next question, which is going to be how like as you present your art and your work in different spaces in different countries, I feel like maybe in Canada there is more of an awareness of, you know, various Indigenous peoples as like particular art practices or like craft making. I was wondering if you found that this is like has been a different reception when you've shown or when you've like presented or seen work, even like in other places like the Venice Biennale, for instance, like whether or not there is like a difference in the reception, if maybe people are more receptive because it's maybe like more new, or if there is like more explanatory work that needs to be done to articulate like what is like an Inuit or identity or what it means to be an Inuk. Yeah, either of you have any thoughts on that?
I think like my work, I don't do my work to educate on Inuit. I don't do my work to break stereotypes or to, you know, I'm not like, that's not why I do my work. And I guess like there are no Inuit in Venice, so I don't really care how it's perceived in Venice, you know what I mean? Or wherever else. I haven't like shown my work in any significant places or anything, but Inuit are very receptive of my work, I guess. And that's really all I care about. You know, I think it's great that people are interested and they want to learn more and, you know, they come to these discussions and stuff, but I know I did my job because, you know, ECHO and Sanningajuk and Artcirq have, you know, had these opportunities and people, and they feel empowered. And yeah, that's, yeah.
Me, I would say it's exactly the same. When we just finished a big collaborations with 2 other companies, and the whole performance is in Inuktitut, and the other companies were asking if we could translate, and we were seeing Why? Because even though we try to translate, people will think they understand, but they will not. Because yes, we're maybe going to use words that they can understand, but the reality is so different. Everything is so different. So why not instead just close your understanding machine inside and just dive into this other world, you know? You were saying if it's different, the reaction in Canada or around the world. Me, I feel ignorance is the same down south about Inuit. It's just less excusable in Canada because it's supposed to be our country, you know?
Yeah, I definitely, yeah, I can have, I think like, yeah, you know, hearing that people even hear ignorant doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, I really appreciate just what you said, that it's like that you're really only concerned about the thoughts of your community and doing well by them. And I think that's, yeah, so important when doing these kinds of works, yeah, that are like, you know, that you hold so close to a kind of like, you know, practice tied to lineage or culture, community. I was wondering, in terms of your, as you had your first like curatorial endeavor with the Goethe exhibition, how you said that that was like a huge learning curve. Could you tell us a little more, like, yeah, what exactly did you learn about curating, and how maybe did that inform your curation for tonight's program?
Yeah, I totally had no idea what curating even was. I don't know why I didn't think of it. Like, it's obviously someone decides what to put in a room and how it's interpreted and all this stuff. But yeah, I really liked sort of like the spatial planning of it all. Like, I'm super interested in that, and like the actual work itself. And but yeah, it was, Billy's stuff is just so intricate and so powerful. Like, it's really not just pretty sculptures. Each one has a really deep meaning, and like a meaning to him as an artist. And so yeah, having that as my first exhibit to curate was kind of set the bar pretty high in terms of like him valuing his work and having all this meaning behind his work. And so yeah, like having that bar set high, it was hard for me to find films that I felt had that same message or that same value, I guess. So yeah, that's why I chose those 4 films.
Great, thanks so much, Jessica. I know you said you had to leave at 8:30, and it is, or at 10 your time, to get home in this blizzard that you're facing in St. John. So it is that time. So if you have to leave, please feel free. Maybe if you want to hang out for like 1 more minute, I'll open the floor if people who are here have any questions for you. This is the time. Paul.
Yeah, hi. I really enjoyed watching this series, and thanks very much. One thing that struck me was how all of them kind of dealt with serious themes, but wasn't heavy, you know, wasn't preachy or anything like that. So just kind of wondering if that was a deliberate choice, or if that's just a common way of it. Like, I don't know if there's generalizations you can make about the artists that you've chosen, but that was something that seemed to come through for me.
I'm still here, but I'm on the way out. But I don't know, like maybe we interpret things differently, because I did find it heavy.
Interesting.
Okay.
Just because I could picture myself in those communities and picture myself watching the ice freeze up and becoming anxious because you're thinking about climate change and how it's going to affect your year, or you know what I mean? So for me, it was really heavy. So it's really cool that you brought that up. Yeah.
Well, um, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess location changes everything, you know. And
Yeah, experiences matter for sure. Yeah.
anyway, thank you again. It was really
Yeah, beautiful
happy.
films.
Thank you guys.
Guillaume, do you have any thoughts about this? About the because I agree with what Jessica said. Like the topics were heavy, but like Paul, like there was a way of like a peu de candeur. I don't know how to say it in English, but this even the film about climate change is still like there's a way that's not overly dramatic also to explore it, but it still makes the message super clear and accessible. So maybe you could talk about these, about this aspect more precisely.
Yes, I mean, maybe the first thing I can talk about is 407, that second documentary about suicide. The main actor, who's also the director of the movie, it was his idea, and he was the one directing it, just passed away this year, Bruce, that you've been seeing on images. And I know that he's been struggling all his life. And he was saying that making movies like that is a way for other people to see themselves and to say hi to the next person they see on the street, because we never know what impact it is, you know. So that was one of the movies he made. He made few others with us also, always hard, but also maybe poetic in a way. As the other movie, it was made with my brother and Jackie Hunnut, who's the main actor in the movie, and he's a clown. So he always sees life in a funny way and will have those light ideas. So that was made in a completely different setting or set of mind. But of course, it's also something that we are facing daily and that we can feel very heavy in our shoulders, you know. And maybe to give my point of view about humility in the North, it's always lessons of humility. People are so humble and so simple to approach, no matter the job title they have. As here, we take ourselves a bit seriously down south sometimes. So that's something that always feels good whenever we travel around the world and we coming back in Igloolik, we just become ourselves again. No big standing around us, or, you know. Yes. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Guillaume. I feel that really like sort of like sheds a light a little bit more on the experience of like, you know, like northern communities versus like some of our urban communities. And I think, Paul, too, what you bring up is like interesting how the way that maybe in like southern media or western media we try to portray like these catastrophes or apocalypses or things that like cataclysmic and in your face, and you know, the way that emergencies like appear to us in our kinds of media are very different from the realities of the ongoing catastrophes that are happening now, like in the north and in other like rural places where, yeah, truly, if you know, the ice melts or freezes early, this could really disrupt a lot of other things, right? That make life, you know, makes your ability to like live possible. So it's interesting too that, yeah, Jessica brought that up, that yeah, maybe like we need to sort of shift our orientation how we look at these and look at them from a different perspective, which I think is a really useful takeaway. If anyone has any final thoughts, feel free to post them now. Otherwise, since we had to, Jessica had to leave to to try to get home safely, we could end this conversation here. But Guillaume, thank you so much for sticking around and being here with us and talking to us about your practice, about Artcirq. And thank you everyone else for coming. Those from the ICCA, hello, welcome. Thank you for your support in making this event happen. Thanks, Paul, for the YouTube, the technical assistance, Roxanne, Manuel.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.